Welcome to Shahnameh, Book of Kings. Today we continue with the Reign of Bahram Gur. Bahram Gur wrote to his brother Nursey, describing the victory over the emperor. The nobles who had been in touch with the emperor asked Nursey to write to Bahram and intercede for them. Nursey did this, and Bahram forgave them. Before returning to his capital and Ctesiphon, he went to Azerbaijan, where he prayed for the great fire temple there, and refurbished it, and distributed wealth to the poor. In Ctesiphon he made a proclamation to his people, remitting taxes for 7 years, and promising to relieve the sufferings of the poor. He sent his brother Nursey to rule Khorasan. One day Bahram said to his chief priest, "That messenger the emperor of Byzantium sent here a long time now, what kind of man is he, and how wise is he?" The chief priest answered, "May the king of the world flourish, blessed by divine glory. He is an old man, intelligent and humble. He's a persuasive speaker and has a soft voice. He was a student of Plato. He's wise, knowledgeable, and from a good family. When he came, he was very confident. But now he seems lost in our country, withered away like a tulip in winter. His body has grown emaciated, and his face has turned to the color of dry reeds. His entourage are like sheep when a hunting dog confronts them. He regards us with neither anger nor lethargy. He takes no account of anyone in this country." Bahram said, "God has made me victorious and turned night to day for me, and I should remember that Verdun placed a crown on the head of Son, from whom the present Byzantine emperor is descended. He has acted with nobility and chivalry, and has not taken leave of his senses like the emperor of China. I will summon his ambassador when I give audience, and see if he has anything useful to say. Then I will send him back in a friendly manner, since I'm not someone who doesn't care what others in the world think of him. Some seek for war and muster armies, others bring a golden crown and look for peace. I must distinguish the one from the other. It takes great deal of greatness to deal with these leaders." The priest blessed him and said, "May you enjoy happiness for as long as the heavens continue to turn." Bahram summoned the messenger to his court, and the old man who had seen the world and was eloquent and wise. He entered the audience hall. His arms were crossed over his chest, and his head bowed. He knelt before the throne. Bahram questioned him kindly and motioned him to a turquoise-studded seat. "You have been here a long time," he said, "and must be tired of this country. My war with China was like a constant companion and kept me away from you. Seeing you now has refreshed my life, but your stay here has gone on too long. Whatever you say we will respond to, and your voice will distinguish this day for us." The old man praised the king, saying, May time and place never be without you. You are the most magnificent of the world's kings, because you have greatness as well as sovereignty. You have knowledge, good sense, justice, and glory, and you act as a victorious king should act. You have wisdom and morality, and you are the lord of the learned. I wish long life to your body and noble soul, and may the heavens never see you grow weak. Your speech is as balanced as a scale, and your words are like jewels that can never be weighed in gold. Although I am Byzantine emperor's messenger, I am also the servant of your majesty's servants. I bring greetings from the emperor to the king, who wishes long life to you and your crown and your authority. He has also commanded me to ask your wise men 7 things. The king says, "Say what these 7 things are." A fine speaker is highly honored. He called the chief priest forward, together with the other distinguished advisers, and he and the messenger revealed what the emperor had told him to say. Addressing the chief priest, he said, "Guide us then. What is that thing which you call within, and then what is that thing which you call outside? Because you know no other name for it. What is above and what is below? What is limitless and what is contemptible? What is the thing which has many names and which rules everywhere?" The chief priest answered him, "Be in no hurry, and do not turn aside from the path of knowledge. There is one answer to each of your questions that concerns within, and outside is a small matter. Outside is the sky, and within is the air by the glory of God, who orders all things. That which is limitless is the world of God, and it is evil to turn from him. Above is paradise, and hell is below. In anyone who opposes God, he too is evil. That which has many names and rules everywhere is wisdom. That the old man has many names, it is a wisdom that enables a king to fulfill his desires. Some call it kindness, others fidelity. When wisdom leaves, pain remains and oppression. The eloquent call it righteousness, the fortunate call it cleverness. Sometimes it is called the patient one, sometimes the keeper of secrets, since speech is safe with it. Wisdom has innumerable names. You know nothing that is higher than wisdom, since it is the best of everything that is good. Wisdom seeks out the secrets that the world contains, those hidden things our eyes cannot see. As for what is contemptible, this refers to a branch of knowledge of the works of God. The man who sees the shining stars in the high heavens and claims to know their number, who says he can distinguish the rays of Mercury when the heavens cannot be measured in leagues, and no one has access to their depths, such a man would astonish those with understanding. What is more contemptible than someone who numbers the stars in the heavens? When the emperor's representative heard these answers, he kissed the ground and acknowledged defeat. He turned to Bahram and said, "You rule the earth. Your Majesty, you ask for no more than you already have from God, and since all the world is under your command and the heads of the haughty obey your orders, the world cannot recall another king like you. And your priestly adviser is more knowledgeable than any other wise man. Philosophers are his slaves, and how their heads before his knowledge." Bahram's heart lit up with these words, and he showed his pleasure. He rewarded his chief priest with gold, fine clothes, a horse, and other goods. Having demonstrated his wisdom, the chief priest left the court in state, and the ambassador returned to his quarters. When the sun touched the heavens, the king sat on his golden throne, and the ambassador and the chief priest presented themselves at court again. They talked happily about various matters, and then the priest said to the ambassador, "You are unique in your intelligence. Tell me, what is the most harmful thing in the world, whose actions make one weep, and what is it most profitable, whose actions raise a man up in glory?" The ambassador said, "A man who is knowledgeable will always be great and powerful, while the body of an ignorant man is more contemptible than mud and suitable for nothing good. Your question refers to ignorance and knowledge, and you have received, I think, a just answer. It is good to talk about knowledge. If you would put the matter differently, tell me, since knowledge increases honor." The priest answered, "Think then, for speech grows beautiful from thought. The less a man hurts others, the greater an evil you should consider his death to be. But it's right to rejoice in the death of evil men, since both the good and the evil are born for death. One is profitable, the other are harmful, and you must make your wisdom distinguish between them." The ambassador, he approved of this answer, and he smiled and congratulated the king, saying, "Happy the land of Iran, that has such a king and such a chief priest. It is right that you demand tribute from the emperor of Byzantium, since your adviser is a king of the world." Bahram was pleased by his words, and his heart opened like a rose in springtime. The ambassador left the court. Night came with its black banner and its musky cloak, darkening the face of the sun, but the turning heavens did not pause, and soon roused the sleepers again. The sun raised its banner, and the world's king woke lightly from sleep. His chamberlain opened the door to the audience hall, and Bahram seated himself on his throne. He ordered that a robe of honor be prepared and delivered to the ambassador, and to this he added unimaginable quantities of silver, gold, horses and their trappings, gold coins stamped with the king's name, jewels, musk, and ambergris. After Bahram had dealt with the Byzantium, he became concerned for his armies. Calling his chief priests and the leaders of the country before him, he gave his warriors grants of land, together with cash, horses, seal rings, and diadems. To the greatest of them he gave provinces and crowns. He filled the world with justice, and both nobles and commoners rejoiced in his reign. He sent away the unjust without gifts and with cold words, and then he addressed his priestly adviser. You are wise, capable, and pure of heart, and you know all the ways of the world, and the acts of just and unjust kings. How many kings were left empty-handed and worn out for lack of rest because of the greed and injustice? The world lived in fear because of their malevolence, and good men's hearts were broken. Everyone strove to do evil, and no one battled for God. Women and children had no king as their protector, and the hearts of the righteous were filled with grief. Demons stretched out their hands everywhere, and men's hearts forgot the fear of God. The source of good, the hand of evil, the door to knowledge, the struggle for wisdom. All these come from the King, from whom all things come, whether righteous or perverse. If my father stretched out his hand toward injustice, if he was neither pure, knowledgeable, nor God-fearing, if the colors of fire overcame his bright heart, this should not surprise you. Look at what Jamshid and King Kavas did when they followed demons' ways. My father sought the same ways they had sought, and did not wash his dark soul in the waters of wisdom. All his subjects trembled for their lives, and many lost their lives because of his anger. Now he is gone, and left an evil name behind, and there is no more to say. No one blesses his memory. But I bless his memory, for I would not have his soul be tormented by our rancor. Now that I am seated on his throne, surely he travels towards the celestial reigns. I ask the Creator to give me strength to act with probity toward my subjects, in private and in public, and to turn the common earth into pure musk for them, so that when I become one with the dust again, the oppressed will not grasp at my skirts in reproach. May you veil yourself in righteousness, and wash all evil from your hearts. For all men, Persian, Arab, Roman, alike, were all born from their mothers marked for death, whose attack is like a lion's, and from whose claws no man can turn aside his neck. The ravening lion himself, its death's prey, and death humbles the dragon in the dust. Where are the heads and crowns of our kings, the nobles and the splendid courtiers? Where are the women whose beautiful faces delighted the hearts of our nobles? Know that all those who once veiled their faces are now partnered with the dust. One day the king's vizier rose and said, King of justice and righteousness, the world has no fear of malevolence now, and within our borders suffering and hardship have disappeared. But the soul of Shangal, the lord of India, turns away from justice. From India to the border with China, the land is overrun with bandits. He has designs on Iran, and it would be appropriate to do something about this. You are the king, and Shangal is only the guardian of India, so why does he demand tribute from China and Sind? Consider this, and look for a way to remedy the situation. Evil should not be allowed to flourish. The king became thoughtful, and the world appeared as a thicket before his eyes. He said, I'll act in secret. I shall go alone to see this Indian Shangal on his throne. I'll see the customs of his court, his land, and all the forces under his command. I'll be my own ambassador. No one in Persia is to know where I have gone. His vizier, a scribe, and other indispensable courtiers discussed the matter, then wrote a letter to Shangal, beginning with praise of God and wisdom, and of those who act wisely. It continued, But you do not know your own limits, and your soul wallows in blood. Since I, Bahram, am now king, and good and evil emanate from me, how is it right for you to act as a king? Discord springs up on all sides, and it is not a kingly custom to attack others or to consort with troublemakers. Your grandfather was our subject. Your father stood as a slave before our kings, and none of us ever allowed the tribute from India to come late. Look at what happened to the Emperor of China when he marched on Iran. All he had brought was looted, and he regretted the evil he had done. I see your preparations, your distribution of largesse, and your glory. But I am ready for war. I have wealth, and a united and determined army. You don't have the strength to resist my warriors, and there is no one in India who knows how to lead an army. You're mistaken in your assessment of your power. You're opposing your little stream against an ocean. I am sending you an eloquent, knowledgeable, and noble envoy. Remit to us the tribute you owe, or if you ignorantly decide on war, see that you are well prepared for our response. I give my greetings to any man whose warp and weft are justice and wisdom. When the ink had dried, they scattered musk on the letter, which was addressed, in the name of Bahram, whose justice resolves all evils, who received the Kyanid crown from Yazdegerd on the day of Ard and the month of Khordad, lord of the marches and protector of his country, to whom the Romans and Savs paid tribute, to Shangal, guardian of India from the lake of Kannauj to the frontier with Sind. When the royal seal had been placed on the letter, Bahram made preparations as if for a hunting expedition. None of his courtiers knew where he was going except the nobles who accompanied him as an escort. He traveled to India, crossed the Magician's River, and saw before him Shangal's palace. Its roof reached into the sky, and in front of it there were armed men, cavalry, and elephants, and the air rang with the din of bells and trumpets. Bahram was astonished at the sight and grew thoughtful. He said to the doorkeepers and other servants there, "A messenger has come to this court from the victorious King Bahram." Immediately the chamberlain went behind the curtain to the king, ordered that the curtain be drawn back, and that Bahram be conducted to the audience hall with appropriate ceremony. The ceiling of the room Bahram entered was made of crystal, and there he saw Shangal sitting on a throne of crystal and gold, wearing his crown and dressed in cloth of silver, embroidered with gold and sewn with jewels. His advisers stood behind him, and his brother was seated on another throne and wore a crown studded with precious stones. Bahram approached Shangal's throne and made his obeisance. He waited for a long time and then said, "I bring a letter, written in Pahlavi on silk, to the King of India, from the great King Bahram, Lord of the world and servant of God." When the king heard Bahram speak, he had a golden seat brought for him, and his companions were invited forward from the doorway. As soon as he was seated, Bahram began his speech. "Great king, as you command me, I shall speak, and may virtue and power never forsake you." King Shangal said, "Well, speak then. The heavens look well on a good speaker." Bahram said, "I bring a letter to the King of India, written in Pahlavi on silk, from my king, born of kings, the like of whom no mother ever bore, who lifts up his head in glory, whose justice turns poison to its antidote, to whom the great of the world pay tribute, whose prey is lions, whose sword in battle turns the desert to a sea of blood, whose generosity is like a cloud that rains down pearls, and who has contempt for gold treasures." Shangal asked for the letter, and looked at the envoy in astonishment. When his scribe read the letter aloud, Shangal's face turned as yellow as bile. He said to Bahram, "You speak well, but don't be in a hurry to talk now, and control your emotions. Your king has shown us his greatness, and so have you by coming here. But I cannot agree with anyone who asks for tribute from India. The letter talks about armies and treasure and trampling countries afoot, but you must understand that kings are like herons, and I am an eagle compared to them, or they are like dust, and I am the ocean. Man does not attack the stars, or vie with the heavens in glory. Virtue is finer thing than vain talk, which will only make knowledgeable men contemptuous of you. You have no courage, no knowledge, no country, no city. Your sovereignty is all in your tongue. My land is filled with hidden treasures, untouched by my ancestors, and there is so much barding and armor hidden away that if my treasurer wanted to access it all, he would need elephants simply to bring the keys to the places where it's stored. If you reckoned up my swords and breastplates, they would outnumber the stars. The earth cannot support my armies and war elephants. Multiply thousands upon thousands, and that is the number of people in India who call me their king. Mountains and seas of jewels are mine, and it is I who sustain the world. I own the sources of amber, aloes wood, and musk, unexhausted stores of camphor medicines, enough for everyone in the world who falls sick. My country is filled with all these things, as well as with gold and silver and jewels. 80 crowned kings stand ready to serve me. Seas and rivers enclose my country, and no devil can conquer our land. From Kannauj to the Sea of China, from the lands of the Savs to Iran, all the chieftains are under my control and have no choice but to serve me, and only my name is on their lips of those who guard the borders of India, China, and Khotan. The daughter of the Emperor of China lives in my harem and calls down blessings on my head. I have a son by her, a lion-hearted boy whose sword can cleave mountains. From the time of Kobad and Kavas, no one has ever thought to demand tribute from this country. 300,000 warriors call me their king. 1,200 allies, each of them related to me by blood, protect me, give no one access to me, and lions bite their nails in terror when they attack. If it were permissible for a nobleman to kill an envoy in anger, I would have severed your head from your body. Bahram replied, Great king, if you are a nobleman, don't stir up unjust desires. My king told me to say, if you are wise, don't follow unjust ways. Produce 2 knowledgeable and eloquent men from your court, and if either of them shows himself superior in wisdom to one of my men, I have no claims on your country, because a wise man does not despise language. Or, if you would rather, choose 100 of your mace-wielding chivalry and let them fight against one of our men. If they can show their worth and courage, I shall not ask for tribute. And this is where I end my tale for today. But I'll be back tomorrow with more tales. Many more tales. Until then, my friends,